was competitive. 23-11, whatever they did with that, whatever that setup is, they need to put that shit right in the trash bin.
Are we ready to admit that they kind of suck this year? Can we admit that? Can we start the show with 23-11 corner and just get out the way and be like, yeah, they were two cheeks again?
At that particular track, or are you alleging that the regular season champion they're bad?
No, well, both, I guess. I guess one, the Kansas, for this track that we're supposed to have earmarked on every calendar in the building, and then we lay eggs again, and then I don't think Tyler is bad at all. But the other car in the garage, I mean, this was just another day.
I will say, I think the whole 23-11, Kansas is their home track. I think we can shelve that for now. I mean, two lousy or mediocre performances from both cars. Yeah, they might be missing something. But I think overall 23 of them are still competitive. We just watched last week Bubba Wallace go march through the field. Well, yeah, march through about 6 cars and 50 laps at Bristol.
That's basically the field. That's as good as you're going to get.
Yeah,
I didn't play. We waiting on you. Yeah,
let's go ahead and do this.
Hey, what's up, y'all? This is former NASCAR driver Bill Lester.
Bob Hockers.
I'm NASCAR driver Natalie Decker.
NASCAR's chief hype officer Mamba Smith.
And you're listening to Victory Lane.
Victory Lane.
Victory Lane.
Victory Lane Vibe.
Let's go.
376. Antron Brown is the top fuel champion.
Just praying for it. There it is. Raja Caruth wins it at Las Vegas. First career win. Gets it done.
You stayed in the game, and it was just one step, one punch, one round at a time, and my guys had me a great stop, and we just executed. So there's more to come for sure.
His final time through 3 and 4. He's gonna do it. Bubba Wallace wins at Kansas.
What they gonna say now, baby? Let's go!
He is the man who raises the bar, who raises the stats, who takes things to stratospheric levels, and he's only got 3 corners now. He can see the crowd standing and giving him that round of applause. 8 times we've said it before. Here's a 9th for you. Lewis Hamilton wins the British Grand Prix. What a victory! Hamilton is back.
Welcome to another episode of Victory Lane Vibes. We are your hostesses with the mostesses. It's Jared, it's Art, it's Peyton, and we are here post Kansas. And there was some wrecking, there were some losers, there were some winners, there was a watermelon sighting, and then that about covers the Kansas weekend. So let's take a dive into it, shall we? So starting off, I forgot completely that there was a truck cosplaying Rajas this weekend. I was very confused. I was very hurt when I saw HendrickCars.com Chevrolet Silverado get smashed up. Then I remembered, oh yeah, that's not Raj, that's Corey Day. So he had his was it his debut? I think it was truck debut. He ran into some trouble with Matt Mills at the end of stage 3. Tom Majeski was winning until he wasn't, and Corey Heim wins the Friday night Kansas race when Tom Majeski ran out of gas to win the round of 10 finale. And breaking down, for those who are not familiar, trucks goes from 10 drivers down to 8 drivers. So the playoff standings over there in Truckland, Corey Heim has a pretty decent lead over Christian Eckes. Tom Majeski's 3rd, Nick Sanchez is 4th. On the bubble, Raj is -8 to the cut line. Tyler Ankrum and Grant Ingfinger are -11 to the cut, and Taylor Gray is -15. What y'all boys think of that there truck race?
This is late, recorded late at night. That's what makes this that.
I'm delirious. Don't mind me.
Yes,
we're here for the laughs.
Go ahead, Peyton.
I enjoyed it. The track is fantastic. You had a lot of comers and goers. It was really, really enjoyable. Man, Corey Heim, he is so good. He had an issue going into qualifying, or right after qualifying, had to start in the back of the field, and then just watching how he carved up the field, and then Ty Majeski extremely competitive, holding on to lead, but with a late fuel strategy, there were a lot of people who I was surprised the number of people that did stay out, because no one sounded confident that you could run to the end. So I'm surprised they sort of took the overall risk, but he is locked in, so I guess he had pretty much house money to play with. But I don't even know how many wins on the season this is for Corey Heim. He is phenomenal. I don't understand why he, if it's strictly or solely due to his lack of a well-heeled sponsor falling in love with him, this model is so broken, because, yeah, his talent level is far superior to anyone else in the Truck Series, and he's still the odds-on favorite to win it outright, in my opinion. I mean, that's not a big, risky thing to say, that, hey, Corey Heim's going to be the Truck Series champion, and I would say probably next on the field right now would probably be Ty Majeski, because he has run so well here in the last 2 months. So, yeah, great weekend of racing, and I enjoyed it. Even without power, I was sitting there watching on my phone and saying, hey, I don't know when the lights are going to come back on, but damn it, we got to watch this truck race. So, yeah, glad I did.
I appreciate that commitment to the show, Peyton, because I'm sure that's what it was, right? You knew you were going to be on, so you had to find a way to watch it.
Oh, yeah, no,
right?
It was definitely dedication to being with you all, and not just me having poor decision-making skills in a crisis.
It's not like, there's some biblical events happening a state over or anything, gotta get our priorities. Yeah, for me, this was a one truck race. I only cared about Raj's success. I think he had to finish like 32nd or better or something like that. There was some number he had to finish ahead of to clinch into the next round, point his way into the next round. So that's really all I cared about all race. And so, yeah, when the 91 wrecks and you have the exact same scheme as the one truck you care about, it spikes the heart rate. You get a little nervous. So I was very happy to see that he was able to clinch his way through on points. He had a pretty good run too, as well. Didn't have a truck that I think was good enough to win, but I think getting a top 10 out of that was a really good performance for him. And then, yeah, everything Peyton said about Heim is absolutely accurate. I mean, why isn't this dude on Sundays next year? That's what he needs to be. I feel like at this point, I feel like if he gets this title, you make the argument there's nothing else for me to do here, right? I feel like you win a championship, like, yeah, you can learn some more experience maybe, but like there's really no point in staying at the lower level beyond that. If you're a guy like him at his stage at the stage in his career where he currently is. So happy for him. Happy to see there's another young, talented Toyota driver. I feel like, they're kind of setting up for that next generation where C. Bell is kind of the elder statesman. Him, Reddick, Bubba are kind of leading the charge. And then you've got these younger guys like Ty Gibbs and Corey Heim and maybe Riley as well coming up and bringing that next generation of young Toyota drivers. So it's always cool to see. And yeah, he's just been really dominant at times this season. So I'm not at all surprised by his performance on Friday night, but you got to win the ones that you can. And so for him, that was a really clutch win. And, that's a tough track to be that dominant like he was at. So it was impressive.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I guess overall, and we'll talk about it here shortly, I'm still asking for 36 Kansases. More on that later. Anywho, moving over to the Xfinity race. Wow. Just wow. This again, and I know Art always beats this drum. Peyton always beats this drum. Everybody on here, Taylor when she was here, Jared when she's here, everybody beats the drum. Xfinity is the absolute best product that NASCAR has right now. Please don't touch it. please don't break it. Just leave it be. Had a fantastic 3-car finish towards the end. 3-car battle between Chandler Smith and Cole Custer. Then seemingly out of nowhere, Eric Almirola gets his second win in the 20. He gets his Supra. And there was a lot of there were a lot of pit road conversations. Austin Hill and Riley Hurts had some words. Chandler Smith and Cole Custer had some words. Yeah. It was it was Eric Almirola wins. Is it 20? Can we say now that 20 won the Owner Championship? They got a lot of stickers on that car. Like, is it safe to say
at this
they
point,
win it?
right?
Like, God,
I feel like they win every other week.
I feel like John Hunter Nemechek's in that car every other week.
No, well, not no more. He Almirola got it for the rest of the year.
Yeah,
but you're right. He was in there an awful lot.
Yeah.
He got a lot of them wins.
Stat pattern.
Exactly. Stat pattern. If you're so good, why don't you just go back? I didn't say that.
I did.
Yeah.
Bootleg Kevin Harvick just wants to go out there and just run nonstop. I don't know why I'm pointing the finger at Kevin Harvick as being king of bushwhacking when he did do it a full season along with running in the Cup Series, but Kyle Busch also just got to his 200 wins by just going and beating up on school children in the lower series. So I don't know why Kevin Harvick gets the brunt of my ire, because I love Kevin Harvick.
Back when NASCAR was fun, you could compete in 2 series full time if you felt like it. I would hate to be your credit card company, all those airline miles, but you could do it and get away with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's talk about this. Let's go through Xfinity.
The race on Saturday, it just doesn't miss. When you have that many drivers having heated discussion, but not fights, that's just a beautiful thing. What that lets you know is that the racing was close, competitive, and it wasn't drivers just being upset. Oh, you took my line. Oh, no, they were pushing at the limit. It was tight quarters racing. You had people manipulating the air. You had a lot of things going into it. And when you get a guy like Cole Custer that upset, because, he can have a temper from time to time. Watching him, get upset at Chandler Smith, as much as I'm not a Eric Almirola fan, he did a fantastic job. You had comers and goers where, Chandler Smith just didn't have a very good long-run car. There's just so much to this race that was enjoyable. You had Austin Hill admitting that he had made a mistake, and what I found funny was he said that Riley Herbst is one of the people I get along well with, and I was just sitting there thinking that must make one of 3 competitors in the whole damn series that doesn't hate you. So overall, just another strong race from a fan perspective. These cars, once again, are as close to perfect in terms of competitive balance and their ability to race and for quality teams to show up and perform well. I think what will be interesting is just seeing how the folks who are not series regulars will come in and play a factor in terms of what happens from here. Like Cole Custer is in an extremely good position, being I believe he's the regular season champion, and because I believe Allgaier lost it at Bristol. So so he's in a strong position, even though he didn't take that win. But I'm not certain who's lining up for next week and the week after. So these things could start weighing in ways that we may not see in the Truck Series, which doesn't seem to get as many interlopers from other series this time of year. So I think it will be something to watch. Poor Sammy Smith, he had trouble early. The back half of junior motorsports it's surprising how hit and miss they've been. Truthfully, it's kind of just been Justin Allgaier, and a lot of when Justin Allgaier is on it, he is unbeatable, but it seems like they oftentimes have just stumbles that I wouldn't put on him. But yeah, they just have not performed as well as you'd expect a team that's that well funded. So I think that's been one of the biggest surprises is just this at least half of the junior motorsports I feel like has underperformed. So
Yeah, I think when I think of that team's underperformance, my mind just goes straight to Brandon Jones. I don't know why necessarily, but I feel like that was a name that I feel like had a bit of a splash to it in the off season, right? I'm not going to say it was like a big light up the sky level splash, but I felt like that was a car you expected to do pretty well, and they just didn't show any of the results they wanted this year. As far as this week, though, I can't really expand too much because Peyton pretty much covered it all. But I will say one thing that I really enjoyed was watching how aggressive Cole Custer was, right? Trying to get the lead with 4 laps to go. That was just so entertaining to watch, man. And I would watch that every weekend if I could. These guys actually having to fight these cars and having the power to be able to make those aggressive moves and have actually, rubbing and racing versus just I can only dump you because you'll aero block me otherwise. But anyway, getting off track. I really enjoyed that. That was the high of the race for me. I think the only downside I have is that I think he just used up his stuff too much, right? Because once he got the lead and the 20 got to him, he really couldn't put up much of a fight. I think it was like 2 corners maybe. And then the 20 just set sail on him. But overall, despite the winner, I thought that was a really, really good race. I'm not surprised, as always, to Jared's point earlier. Definitely the best race of the weekend. And I just want this car in more places, man. I know we talk about it all the time, but I'm just like, please, just let me see this everywhere. But
I've got a somewhat tangentially linked question. I've got a question that's slightly related, but not exactly related. You mentioned Brandon Jones. He has been a Xfinity Series regular since 2016. So we are coming up on 9 years. I'm not seeing that he's ever had a Cup Series start. No one ever really talks about him as being a Cup Series potential or likely candidate. Same thing with Ben Rhodes in the Truck Series. Dude's been in the Truck Series a while now. He actually felt slighted when his name was not mentioned for potential moves, but he's been in the series quite some time. Is it just me because I'm watching guys who come up who may not have a ton of backing, but it just you feel nervous for those sort of guys? And man, what are they going to do? Their career's not progressing, and you just sort of forget that there are people who essentially have the ability to just be lifers. And I think it's one of the things I find fascinating. The Ron Hornadays of the world, the Matt Craftons, the folks who are going to essentially be, lifers in their respective lower series. It seems nowadays to be such a slight, the idea of being a lifer in that potential series. And with the money being what it is, does anyone else sort of find it surprising that, these guys have the shelf life that they do? I mean, I know that for Justin Allgaier, he's got the Brandt family who backs him. It looks like Brandon Jones has extremely close ties to the people over at Menards. I don't know about Ben Rhodes, but none of those dudes really seem likely to ever sort of make it to the Cup Series. And then you look at a guy, I mean, mind you, I'm going to be biased here because I watch their careers very closely, but you look at a Raja Caruth. He's qualified for the playoffs, had to work and grind his way through this first round. We don't know what his plans are for next year. We hope that it's going to be Hendrick, but that's not sort of a given, and you sort of feel, okay, if he's not sort of stepping to the next level, his career is in peril. And the idea that I don't really see a possibility of drivers who don't have all this backing sort of being able to hang around like a Brandon Jones or a Ben Rhodes. So I don't know. It's just sort of surprising. You mentioned, or we talked about just how long he's been in the sport, Ben Rhodes and Brandon Jones. Just the idea of lifers in the sport. It just seems so rare that we seem to get those.
Well, yeah, I feel like everyone is you're either going up the elevator or going down. I feel like there's very rarely a chance for someone to stay stagnant, whether that's by choice or otherwise. I think of like when you mentioned Raj, like he's the one that seems like his career is on the ascent. Like I think the three of us agreed, like he is nowhere close to his peak yet, right? As a driver, like he's still very young. But then I think about someone like Matt DiBenedetto, who made to the Cup Series, was in a decent ride. Like I'm not going to say it's an A-tier ride, but a good ride and had some good runs, and then maybe made some bad choices online, we'll say, and that just kind of demoted his career, back down to the basement. And now, like, I turn on the Xfinity race, and every now and then I see him on there, and like he's running decently. So I think he's having to atone for his mistakes and try to work his way back up. But yeah, I feel like it's a mix of like the timing of when those spots open. I just almost feel like there's less movement nowadays in the Cup Series. I could be totally wrong on that, but I just feel like there was more movement between teams and drivers over like, I don't know, a 5-year period. Whereas I feel like now there's very few cases of big name guys jumping ship and opening up spots, right? I feel like Reddick and Kyle Busch are like the two that come to mind in terms of like guys leaving to go to new places, but not retiring in the last couple of years. But I just feel like there aren't a lot of spots. And then it's one of those things like you don't want to be too good in Xfinity. You want to be great enough in Xfinity to like get promoted, but you want to be solidly good to where they never want to push you because like, oh, we can put you in this car and we know you'll take care of it and bring it home. And all guys kind of like that, right? Where like he's very, very good in an Xfinity car, but I almost wonder, is it a case where you're so good at this one thing but you don't have the unknown, untapped potential that like you're not going to get that shot. So like this is kind of a tangent, but like in wrestling, for example, if you're a guy who is really good at getting beat up, right? Like every time you get beat up, like the audience is like, oh no, like they feel for you, like your heartstrings, like you're really good at that part of the job, which is important, right? It's an important part of the job. But if you're really good at getting beat up, they're going to beat you up all the time, right? Because you're so good at it. Yeah. And you're never going to get the chance to be a top guy because the top guy doesn't get beat up all the time. And I almost kind of feel like there's some analogy in there. I don't know what it is at this moment, but I feel like all guys kind of like that guy. He's really good at this, but because of that, he's got that cap. And I mean, I feel like you only get 1, maybe 2 shots at a Cup Series ride if you're lucky in your career. And so if the timing isn't there to where everything from sponsors to, your momentum in-house, like right within that team or within the team that has that opening, like if your name isn't ringing out to them, then like the door's just never going to open for you. Like it takes so much of things that are in your control, but even more things that are out of your control. So that's my guess.
What surprises me though are the guys that you consider the ringers who cannot land steady rides in the Xfinity series. So like you look at a Trevor Bayne, he had, I believe, 5 races last year, was competitive in just about all of them, wasn't able to secure a win, but you sort of think, well, why can't he be a Brandon Jones? Because I have no doubt that even though he's in his 30s, that just forgot his name, that he would gladly run full-time in the Xfinity series as sort of a lifer. And then same thing with Ryan Truex. Once again, every time he's appeared, he's been competitive in the Xfinity car. And like I said, it's just surprising for the ones who are able to secure that sort of, yep, I'm just going to sort of hang around in this mid-level series, and that's what it's just going to be. And like I said, it's just interesting. I guess it's just about having the right sponsorship be around you. And then like you were saying, having a good reputation, like, hey, you make the sponsors happy, you bring good money, and you don't tear up stuff. So yeah, you can hang out as long as you like. So
right.
It just makes you, I wouldn't say question, but it makes you wonder with all the offseason moves that have been announced. Like, for instance, Brandon Jones going back to JGR. Do you think some drivers that are in Xfinity that, clearly have the backing to do seemingly whatever they want, do they change teams with the hope that it's time to go up? Do you think Brandon went to JGR again? It's like, then it's getting a little long in the tooth over there. I got some money. Maybe, when it's time for the 11 to get vacated, I can, I can slide in there, bring some sponsorship dollars to the cup side. That's my thought process with at least him anyway. But I feel like to keep the sport going or to keep a series going, you sort of have to have a mainstay, right? Like, you got to have your Ron Horter days, you got to have your Matt Craftons, you got to have your Justin Allgaiers, you got to have the familiar faces with the longevity. So you obviously you can see the rising talent, up and comers. Where you're like, oh yeah, this guy's still running. No, look, he's still competitive. I feel like that's sort of the foray of all of this. Like, I feel like you have to have your mainstays just to keep people from turning the TV on. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like Elliott Sadler had a better Xfinity career than he had a Cup career. And maybe that's why he was like, oh, I'm good here. I'm cool. I'm gonna just stay.
Yeah, and I mean, like, some people, like, you just have to know, and I mean, this is hard to say, but like, you just gotta know your level, right? Like, there's no shame in being a very good Xfinity guy and being a mediocre Cup guy, right? Like, that's just how competitive it is, and that's just off of talent. That's not counting the folks who shouldn't be in those Cup cars but have rides because of genetics and these other factors that we won't get into. So, like, if I was Elliott Sadler at that point, like, yeah, I'd totally love to go again. We've talked about this before, but like, being in a top Xfinity car versus a backmarker Cup car, I'd rather compete and like have a shot to win and like compete for a championship, right? And yeah, like, Elliott was never a barn burner in the Cup Series. He was talented and like he could win races, but he was not a week in and week out threat. But like, he found his groove in Xfinity and kind of gave his career, a second life, right? Because I feel like he was on his way out of the sport before that happened. So, and that might be hard for some people to accept, right? We talk about people going up and down. Like, some people don't want to accept the fact they're not in the top series. Like, it probably takes a lot of humbling to say, like, I'm willing to take a air quotes demotion, right, and not be on the biggest stage, even though I'm at the same track every week. Like, that's hard to do. But if you really want to stay in the sport, that might be the sacrifice you have to be willing to make. And some people can make it and are willing to, and some people aren't. And there's not a wrong or right answer, I guess, but it's a matter of just being honest about where you are, right, and your value and, the timing, again, of what's available to you. Because if that window closes once, like, we've seen guys who the window closes from it, and like Peyton said, like a Trevor Bayne, like, it's probably never coming back in terms of like a full-time ride. So.
And then after Saturday's results from Kansas, the playoff lists, Cole Custer still has the points lead, 5 over Chandler Smith, who's 10 over Austin Hill, who's 13 over Sam Mayer, who's 3 over Sheldon Creed, who's 2 over SVG, who's 5 over Jesse Love, who is 1 over Justin Allgaier at the cut. And then AJ Allmendinger's minus 13, Parker Kligerman's minus 15, Sammy Smith is minus 23. Bad day for Justin Allgaier. I mean, that is just bad,
Listen,
bad, no good, terrible, bad day. Just terrible.
If I could, I would be selling all the Allgaier stock I had. I know it's early, but after Bristol, I was pretty sure it was worth jumping off. Now I'm fully off. Like, I don't want any. I'm not diversifying my portfolio at all with anything from that team till Daytona, because they are falling off a cliff right now.
Which brings us to the malfeasance 400 from Kansas. Overall, it was I never call Kansas a snooze fest, but this one sort of lacked that. It lacked that pop that the spring race had. It lacked that fire. It was sort of like a humdrum mile-and-a-half race, which pains me to say because this car has given us life. First race of the ride swap. Spotter misheard. Well, Justin Haley misheard what the spotter said. He thought he was bottom 2. He was actually middle of 3. Shawack wrecked the car. He was done for the day. And the old Corey LaJoy shrugged his shoulders. And gets the top 15 with his new team over at Rick Rare Racing. Did they make the right move? Who knows? But the end result ended up being Ross Chastain smashes Watermelon for his 5th win in the Cup Series. Willie B finishes 2nd. Truex finishes 3rd. Ryan Blaney rebounds for 4th. Ty Gibbs had a good day in 5th. Alex Bowman is trying to keep his job, finishing 6th. 6th. What is 6th? Anyway, Christopher Bell and Denny Hamlin finished 7th and 8th. Chase Elliott comes from the back to finish 9th with a new motor. And Zane Smith finishes 10th. I'm telling you, man, Spire is going to be scary next year. They've had consistent speed the last 6 weeks. The field is in trouble if Spire starts getting clicked off. Y'all in trouble, man. Is Zane still trying out for a job? Does he have a ride next year yet?
I don't think he does.
Unconfirmed. Zane needs to get a ride. He's outshining his teammates.
They're peaking early. I feel like way earlier than expected. There's no way you're gonna sit there and tell me this team expected to be this good this early on in their, I don't want to say in their life, but in their rejuvenation of this team, right? Ever since the second half of the season, they've had really good speed, and it's just very impressive. I give them all the credit in the world. You make the driver change, that's a unique situation. We'll say, I don't think I've ever seen that happen mid-season, but they're just fast, man. They're just fast, and their drivers are doing a great job. They're not making a lot of mistakes, right? Teams executing, and they're just putting together really clean races, and that's really all you can ask for, right? Control the things you can control. Do they have race winning speed right now? No, but if they can find something in the off season to help them out, like you said, they'll definitely be a problem. Should I go, or did you have something else? Sorry, I kind of cut you.
Nah, brother. Go ahead and go.
Okay. Then I will start. I do think this was a race that kind of suffers from the reputation, right? We, including myself, I'm gonna include myself in the we all kind of go into the weekend expecting potentially the best race of the season, and so then when you get an okay race, it's a big letdown. I personally felt like this race was it was average to me. You had comers and goers for sure, but it just didn't feel like there was a ton of action for most of the race. I actually felt true story, fell asleep in stage 1, and I woke up. I don't remember who it was. Somebody was crashing, and I woke back up. Now I will say that stage 3 was really good. That was a great stage of racing. You had the pit strategy. You had Busch, Chastain, Bell as well. Battling for the lead. You had, the playoff worries of some of these guys. Chase Elliott trying to make his way back up after, like you mentioned, changing the engine. So that was great. I wish we had Carl on this week so he could talk about life as a KB fan, because that was a real bitter pill to have. My God, I was pulling for him so hard. And as I'm sure listeners know by now, he got into it with the driver of the 14, Chase Briscoe. And, there was a lot of talk about that move after the race. And my issue with what happened with Chase, because that's what I really want to harp on, because the rest of the race isn't that memorable for me. I'm happy for Ross. I like Ross as always. Ross getting a win is great for me, and I feel like it's good for the sport. He's such a big personality. But if you're Chase Briscoe and you're about to go a lap down, I totally understand you wanting to, fight for stay on the stay on the lead lap, whatever. That's fine. My issue is don't give the top and then go back to block it coming out of the straightaway. You know, like you always see cars that if they're about to go a lap down, they're really clear about their intentions. So like, I'm going to go low. I'm going to stay high. Like I'm going to give you this lane as an option because you're clearly faster than me because you're about to lap me, right? There's a reason I'm in this situation. And, you know, you watch a replay of that accident, like he gives him the top lane going into 1 and 2. And then kind of 2, he just drifts up and blocks it off. And is it wrong? Like legally, morally, probably not. Like, is it dirty? To me, it's kind of borderline, and not in like a malicious, like I doored you on purpose or I hooked you on purpose, but like you left that lane open and are then suddenly either surprised or just reacting to a car being there. I just did not like that move at all. And if there's any other driver, I'd still feel the same way. Like obviously I've said on here, like I'm rooting for KB to get a win before the season's out. I want the streak to live on. I want him to win this year and then maybe pack it in and just retire with the streak intact. But I did not like that move at all. And this is coming from a guy who has zero good faith from me when it comes to making the right decision late in races, because he's got a bonehead play collection going from his time in the 14 with late race bad decisions at Phoenix, at Bristol Dirt, at other places as well. So like your day's already going terrible. You're about to go a lap down. Like realistically, you trying to fight to stay on the lead lap really wasn't going to matter much, right? Like you weren't going to suddenly have a good day, or you weren't going to get the wave around and come back up and drive up through the field. So it's like, you got to pick your spots, man. You got to be smarter than that, I feel like. And he just gets so, I don't know what the word is. I don't want to say brain dead because that's really too harsh and I don't feel that strongly, but he just makes these bonehead moves and I don't get why. And especially after Darlington, right? And the spotter even said something. It's like, you wrecked me at Darlington a few weeks ago. And like the 8 car is the one car you should have been pulling over for out of everyone else on the track. And he definitely did it. And I kind of want the old KB straight from the go KB to you know, deal out some punishment to him in a future race, just to remind him, like, you can't just keep running me over, bro, and get away with it, or wrecking me and getting away with it. So, but yeah, I feel like I said, this race just, for me at least, fell victim to the hype of what I wanted from it. It didn't help that a lot of the cars I wanted to do well didn't. Spoiler alert for 2311 corner, but it is what it is. I'm ready for next week. I'm ready for this playoffs to be done, honestly. But we move.
It just started.
We're
almost halfway.
That's what I said. It didn't just start. We're almost halfway. We're halfway there. Whoa.
A lot. There's a lot in this race, and I agree with Art that the history of this race built up high expectations, and overall, I think it lived up to it. If Richmond produced this sort of race, Richmond would have 2 dates. They wouldn't be giving that to Mexico. And it was a really good race overall. Sloppy, surprisingly sloppy. Dudes were crashing. You didn't even get a chance to make a full lap, and then you were sending Josh Berry off to the promised land, because apparently if you slide in an accident and get 4 flat tires, your day is done. That's an interesting rule. Seems kind of stupid to force teams to spend all that money, and then you just slide and pop 4 tires and, oh, sorry, buddy, I know your car's just fine, but, you know. So I'm looking forward to that blowing up in their face when that happens to Chase Elliott, probably at the Roval. But, hey, we'll see how that goes. What was interesting to me, it was a tale of 2 races. The caution leading up to the end of stage 2 absolutely flipped everything, because even with Christopher Bell trying everything he could to end his own day by just smacking the wall, mind you, maybe if he kept trying, he would have got it right and satisfied his demands of, I don't know, bending a toe. Like, I don't know what the hell he was up to, but he had a fast car, just couldn't stay on the wall. Seemed like he was going to walk off to a strong win. Denny Hamlin looked like he could be in the mix. Ryan Blaney, his crew did not do him any favors, still recovered very well. Those were the guys who were dominant in that race early on and really mixing up. And also, Alex Bowman up there at the front, just a lot of interesting storylines that we had building that I think was going to build to a fantastic finish. We have the strategies get swapped where they end up staying out to make sure they get those stage points. And then you end up with the non-playoff drivers at the front of the field. And my second favorite driver after Bubba Wallace is Kyle Busch. It has obviously not been a fun season. I've grown sick of Richard Childress racing. I don't know why I wasn't sick of them earlier, just seeing how he is still, I want to say, childish over Tyler Reddick's departure from the team. He still holds a grudge to this day, which for a man as wealthy and as powerful from him, seems like he still likes to keep a lot of chips on his shoulder. But anyway, just over this season, what a awesome way, 20 years of putting together wins for Kyle Busch, being able to do it at this track. Not that there's any special history for him at this track. It would just be awesome to see him run out and get a well-deserved win, be competitive. And yeah, that gets demolished by the 14 car. And the funny thing is these guys who can be pretty mediocre, they get super tough when it comes time to put a lap down. You won't find a tougher driver out there than Daniel Suarez when he's getting ready to go one lap down. Toughest driver out there. Pass him for position, apparently he folds. But you want to pass him to go a lap down, apparently he's the best at that. So that's always a frustration on my part. And Chase Briscoe did not do anything that was outside the rules. It was fair, but it's one of those things, if you want to give the appearance, oh yeah, there's a lane open. Oh yeah, you'll have to be millimeter precise to land it. Yeah. And then if I just fade just a little bit, just so you have to balk a little bit, oh, sorry. It was one of those where, yes, if you want to give the impression of complying to the rules, but really are not, that's what he did. And it ruined his day, and it ruined Kyle Busch's day. I am not certain if Kyle could have held off Ross Chastain, because Chastain was very close by. Chastain had a very, very strong car, but you do sort of hate to have these lap cars running the interference. That's one of the things as a Formula One fan I appreciate that they don't allow lap down cars for the most part to run defense. Yes, they can compromise the leader's performance. They can cause other cars to catch up, but you won't actively have them running out the leader. That being said, obviously in Formula One, the laps are anywhere from 1 minute 20 seconds in length to 2 minutes in length. If you're getting lapped, listen, you've sucked for 30 laps. You've sucked for 30 minutes. In NASCAR, you might have only sucked for 10 minutes. And hey, you better fight it out. But I always hate when these lap cars just end up being being the factor, whether it be 2 lap down cars playing grab ass and bring out a late race caution, looking at Richmond on that. It is just a frustration. It was great to see the 8 car have that sort of speed. It does give me hope that maybe he can snag a win at another 1.5 miles. We've only got but a few more left. I believe Vegas and Homestead are sort of the last 2 hopes for that. But overall, just a really, really interesting race. Just seeing all the strategy get turned around. The storyline of, once again, you see the 5 car, best driver in the world, find his way to the wall. his day was essentially a write-off from that point. Legacy Motorsports, they are putrid. I was just pulling them up. They finished. They had. Listen, if it was in the 30s, Legacy had you locked down. They were fantastic on that part. So I think they are what Spire was a couple years ago. I think they've got to be looking at Spire, figuring out how do we figure out how to get where they are, because Legacy is really, really struggling. But overall, just a clean race. Like I said, I'm not a huge Ross Chastain fan, but he's got a lot of fans, so it's good to see him get a win. And unfortunately, the next race is Talladega.
Yeah, it's always good for. It's always good for Watermelon Man to get a dub. I wasn't mad at the result. I'd rather him than Truex, honestly. He deserves nothing.
Wow.
After squandering his championship away last year, that man deserves nothing. He can come run the 500 with 2311, and that could be the end of that. He can go to his farm. He can play with his tractors. He can throw some hay and grow some grass. That's about it for him. But I mean, to both Art and Peyton's point, I don't like what Briscoe did. Like, come on, dog. It's the leader. What are you doing? Like,
he's so talented.
That's a silly place to throw that move. Like, you know how aerosensitive like these cars are and aren't at the same time. And if they get caught in bad air, that's essentially what it looks like to me. I appreciate the F1 reference. F1 wouldn't have that. You get the blue lights, your steering wheel lights up saying, hey, you're a slow move. Try again in 3 weeks the next time we race again. So it'll be interesting to see how NASCAR, I wouldn't say polices it, but the guidelines that comes from it, because the leader had been a playoff driver like Briscoe was, and that move was made. And I think there's going to be some naughty thoughts and feelings from that. And also to that point in regards to what would NASCAR do, the Josh Berry situation, I'm having four flats, and it was like, oh, your race is done. Like, that's not his fault. He got 4 flats. But I feel like if that happens next week, if that happens to a playoff driver, and there's a spin, they save the car, they flat spotted them, so the tires go down, they're disqualified. I guarantee that rule's getting changed. Guarantee it. Because after all, this is an entertaining sport, right? We got to entertain. So, decent weekend. Larson ruined the fastest car again. It just continues to prove the point. If he's out front with the fastest car, he wins. If he's in the back with the fastest car, he will put it in the wall. He will find a way to make sure that car is on the hauler before it's supposed to be. So,
question.
Yes.
Did anyone else, when they saw the 7 car radically left turn and demolish, I can't remember which car it was. I don't know. It might have been the 10 or whoever. It might have been the 42. Did anyone else shout, there goes LaJoy, and then you had to stop yourself because you realized that it wasn't LaJoy, and then you heard how stupid the call from the spotter was, where I believe they said in out to signify that you're in the middle.
Yeah, if in and out is how Corey got called, that he's the middle of 3 wide,
explains
it makes me wonder if it was actually his fault.
I'm starting to connect some dots here.
Is it actually you, Corey, or did you have bad help?
All this time.
Have you been taking the blame for no reason?
I thought about something. It's funny how, because he had another top 15 finish, I believe.
Yeah, he literally finished 15th. Like he cooked yesterday.
I feel like there's a direct relationship between weeks Corey does well and weeks Bonte's not on the show. I don't have the numbers off the top of my head to back those up, but I feel like every time he has a good week, Bonte ain't here. So I don't know which one causes the other. If it's Bonte doesn't plan to be here and that somehow Corey does well, or it's Corey.
Is awfully quiet around here when he can't yell Corey LaJoy.
Or is it that LaJoy runs him off? I don't know. Many people are speculating. I don't know.
The streets is talking.
That's all I'm saying.
Where you at, Bonte?
What did they call him? What's his name? Oh, Super Shoe, right? Is that his nickname? Super Shoe? Super Shoe done scared you off, man. Don't take that.
Oh, boy. So, I mean, for a guy that doesn't have a job next year, that's a really good way to start making sure you get signed to the car that you're filling in for. The top 15. Clean race, clean day, nose clean, no wrecks.
Yeah, no, he's had a really good couple of weeks. Like no sarcasm or anything. Like he's had a couple of really good weeks. So good on him.
Bristol excluded. I mean, he did kind of just wreck himself, but yeah,
I know.
The pace has been there. You see the potential.
The pace has been there, and for him to change teams and still have that Spire level type pace, like that tier 2.4 car. I don't know. Maybe it won't him. Maybe he was a scapegoat. We'll see next week. Moving over to 2311 corner. On the racing side of things, it was okay. I'm not gonna feed into the rumor, but I heard there was some good news coming from the Bubba Wallace camp about some things that may have happened yesterday that would have made yesterday a great day for all involved. When that news is confirmed, and we will confirm it here. There's certain things I don't like to speculate about, and that's one of them. But yeah, it was Bubba got pushed up into the wall by one Chase Briscoe, and from there it feels like they couldn't find the handle to the car. And then I don't know what went wrong with Tyler. I don't know if he couldn't keep up with the track, or if it was a bad pit stop, or I feel like the track went loose, and everybody had to like tighten the cars back up, to the point where like it was a lot was involved. I know Bubba had a long stop trying to tighten the car up, but yeah, the setup missed this time. To Art's point, Kansas is almost like Toyota's background, 2311's playground. You can cement them for a 5-3 or a win, and they just did not have it this weekend. So, which is fine. Tyler's still to the good on the point side. Bubba's just hanging out doing this thing until next year. But I don't know. I'm secretly, quietly optimistic for next week. I'm not gonna say I have a good feeling, but
I don't know how good Tyler Reddick is on the point standings. He's below the cut line.
I mean, yes, but
six below, and I know he did win at Talladega early last year, but traditionally not great at plate races.
He was in the right place at the right time. He didn't really win Talladega. He won the race, but did he win it, or did everybody die for him to win?
I'm just saying, if I was him, I would not be puking and pooping in my race suit just yet. But if Talladega, if he doesn't collect stage points, and he barely scrapes by a top 10, that may be a rough day.
Yeah.
Luckily, it does conclude at the Roval, which it can get kind of zany, but yeah. I'll let you finish your point 23 because I've got some mean things to say. Or maybe they're not mean.
No, I mean, I just feel like it's because of yesterday's race, they're going to have to call next weekend vastly different. To your point, like they have to be up front. They have to take advantage of the stage points. They have to go opposite of all the pitch strategy. They have to maximize stage 1 and stage 2, and then run and hide for stage 3, and then maybe peek back out for a top 10. But you have to be really aggressive and stay up front. You have to be aggressive. You got to prey on everybody else.
I don't think you can wait around with this car.
No, like you have to go like now. Like you have to be up front and stay up front the entire time. Especially with this car, because it takes 67 laps to build a run.
Yeah.
Especially if I don't know if y'all have seen it, but NASCAR is determining, I think tomorrow, whether or not they're going to add the fin to the front of the car. So the fin that runs on the rear glass, they're going to run it down the hood and down the front windshield to help the car not want to flip over. I mean, if we're just going to throw stuff at it, throw more horsepower in the car. But I'm interested to see if that works. This car still likes to find air. I don't know. I'm not an engineer by any means, but adding a blade to help keep the car on the ground may make it more likely to flip. But that's just me. But yeah. Peyton.
2311 rolled off the truck without a whole lot of speed. That's not good. The 23 car in practice, I went on I listened to it on the radio, and they give you a lot of details, which is fun. And yeah, he was not very fast in practice, Bubba Wallace. He qualified a lot better than I was anticipating. Apparently, hearing from Freddie on the Spotters podcast, apparently both cars were fighting a bad loose condition, which they had to work on heavily, and then things can swing wildly once you get deeper in the field. It seemed like the 45 was able to get their arms around it somewhat, where they could sort of be a back half of the top 10 car or like a 12th place car. And then on one of the final restarts, they got stuck in the middle by the 6 car Brad Keselowski, because apparently Brad Keselowski stayed out on old tires, and yeah, he just got caught in the hallway and just stuck and just got escorted swiftly back to Legacy's land, which is the 30th position, where he languished there. So yeah, that was not a good day. And what's really interesting, that was a really lousy performance for 2311's standards, and neither of them were really a threat to go a lap down. Like, so we get so wrapped up in these things, and it was a rough day just because we've gotten so used to seeing Bubba run with the potential of finishing in the top 10. They clearly didn't have a top 10 car, but they were still, the top 20. You look at people who haven't bet at, you look at a Chase Briscoe, he was at risk going a lap down. You look at Daniel Suarez, he was risk going a lap down. I mean, that's what a bad day looks like. You don't really get those with 2311, which is a good thing, but yeah, we were talking before. I think you can throw away the whole 2311's playground being Kansas. I think they've lost a little something there. Even Bubba Wallace after the race sort of admitted we're 0 for 2 here. So they have lost a step. But overall, like I said, with only thing that matters for Talladega is, can Toyota figure out a competent strategy, and can they execute upon it? I still think them being able to play the team game is going to be the most important thing, because I don't care what you do to these cars, a really, really strong car is not going to be able to make their way to the front at Talladega. It's just not happening. That's not going to happen. So they could build, a pair of legacy spec cars, and they could still be quite competitive. And like you were mentioning, I think what will be fascinating is, how do you call this race for Tyler? Because you need stage points. You want a bit of buffer going into the Roval. But yeah, hopefully, my only concern with the performance that they had yesterday at Kansas was, hopefully this doesn't carry over to Vegas or Homestead, because those are 2 tracks where you'd like to see them perform well at. And yeah, those are going to be instrumental, because those are 2 tracks that should perform similar to either each other. And if Tyler Reddick makes it to the round of 8, and that's what 60% of the tracks are going to be Vegas and I just lost my train of thought. Vegas and Homestead. Thank you. Vegas and Homestead, and you perform like you did yesterday, it's going to be a tough uphill battle. Art?
Man. I'm not going to get mad. I told you 6 weeks ago, 10 weeks ago, I said, this sport not going to make me mad anymore. I'm not going to let them do it to me. But I will say this was a very disappointing performance from 23XI as an organization. Yeah, I mean, this is a race you're supposed to do well at, right? Like, you're supposed to at least be in the hunt. Like, I'm not saying you have to win, but you got to at least be in the same zip code. You know, honestly, this segment should have been about 30 seconds because that's about all they really deserved this week. Yeah, Bubba ran in like the low teens most of the race. Tyler was just disappearing. Like, there's been just a few races in these playoffs where he's just gone and just like middling around in like the mid 20s. And you're like, what is going on with this team? You know, I agree with Peyton. I think they have to come out of Dago with at least be on the plus side, I feel like, of the points, to feel really confident going to Roval. I mean, if you look at some of the guys they're going against, you know, like Logano's not a great road course guy, but he's pretty damn good at like plate tracks. So, you know, it's kind of strength versus strength over these next two races. I feel like Tyler will still be able to point his way in, if not win his way in at the Roval. But I do think, you know, like Jared said, you have to be aggressive. You have to play it straight up at Talday. You got to go for points. You can't play these games that like Danny's doing. It was like, oh, I only need 62 points over the next 3 weeks, and I need the sun to rise at 7 a.m. And if I calculate it just right, and the wind is 17 miles an hour, like I'll make it to the next round. Like all these games that they're playing, like. Which is a story for another day, but I think you got to play it straight. You have to go out and be aggressive and try to be at the front, get those stage points, and then, you know, stage 3, just let the dogs loose and pray that you survive. I think the ideal scenario for them really is just having someone else have disaster, right? Have someone like let the 5 crash out, let, you know, somebody else crash at the 9 or the 48, and bring that cut line a bit closer to him. Like that'd be great. That's an ideal scenario. But yeah, I do think he'll be okay. And I think if he makes it to the next round, I think he makes it to Phoenix. You know, those 2 races are so good to him, Homestead and Vegas, that I just feel like there's no way he doesn't run really well there. And I think he either wins or gets enough points that he survives. You know, like you want to be at least, I feel like, 3rd going into Martinsville, right? Because there's always that chance, it seems like, where someone below the cut line wins at Martinsville and bumps the 4th place driver out. So I think I feel really confident they'll be able to do that. But yeah, this has just been, you know, another very disappointing performance out of them this week. And, you know, I said in the chat, our chat after the race, you know, and I'm not trying to be a Debbie Downer or like sourpuss, but I was like, yo, like the help ain't coming, guys. Like this 23 team is not performing well at all. And like, I know Bubba has performed well this season. And yes, he's, you know, set career highs this season, but on the whole, like they're still kind of, you know, this streaky mess where they're good some weeks and then they're just trash for like a month, right? And I don't know. I just feel like, you know, like I said in the chat, like the magic is not coming. Like I just don't see a magic fix with this set of ingredients. I don't see that meal coming to where they're going to be great. It's very bittersweet seeing them perform so poorly at Kansas, since obviously Bubba won Kansas, 2 years ago. I'm pretty sure if I went back and looked, you could count the number of stage wins Bubba has had since that Kansas win on one hand with fingers left over, and never mind winning a race. So I just think this idea that like, oh, they'll get it turned around, they'll figure it out. It's just kind of hopium at this point. I want them to, as I say all the time, right? Like I want them to, but like I'm not going to sit here and be delusional based off the product I've seen. So I want to do well. I'd love for him to win a race. Like I know Homestead's a good track for Bubba. Martinsville obviously is, and he's had some okay runs, I think, at Phoenix. Right? He's never been great there, but you know, there's still some tracks here that I think he can do well at. But and of course Dega, right? I'm leaving out the obvious one. But I don't know. This is kind of what I've expected from this team at this point. Like they'll pop off a top 5 or a top 10, and they'll go back to sucking for a month. And I'd love for them to show me something different, but they still haven't. So disappointed.
Art, I will say this, and it did spark something. they've not had a race this season where they looked like, we could win this. That hasn't happened this year. And I think that is a concern. And it's interesting because they have produced more top 10s and top 5s than he has at any point in his career. And it is masking some of the fact that they've not necessarily had race winning speed. Michigan, you can say, but hey, I don't like to speculate on what happened, in the first stage or the second stage. I want to see with 50 laps to go, that's where the nut cutting happens. Let's get down to business. And
Right.
they've not had it at any point this season. And last year they had it at least on 2 occasions. If we're talking,
And like the thing is, like I always point out, we have single digit events that we can point to. Again, like we have one race this year where we were like, they may have had a shot, and 2 last year. Well, last I checked, I haven't been in any shop class accidents, so I still got fingers left on my hand here of incidents where they were competitive for a win. And the sad part is that in 2024 and soon to be 2025 NASCAR, setting a career high in top 5s don't mean shit.
No.
It don't mean nothing because I pull up this NASCAR app. My man is 19th in points with his best season. Doesn't mean anything. So, and I mean, again, I don't think it's a lack of effort or anything, but the point is like the idea like that, if he's trending in the right direction. And I do think Bubba as a driver is trending in the right direction, but the team as a whole, I feel like is not trending in the right direction. And I think Bubba's growth, like you said, like there's some empty calories there that everyone's just like hanging their hat on. And okay, so next year he gets 8 top 5s, no wins and a pole, and maybe a stage win. Anybody happy with that? I'm not. So we can keep moving. I don't want to bash 2311 for 25 minutes, but this is a race I expect you to
take 30 seconds, and you talk for 5 minutes.
I said we should have taken 30 seconds, but I didn't go first. So
also, I egged them on, and now I kind of wish I hadn't, because now I feel sad.
I mean, I don't want to be.
Next segment, please.
I don't want to be bitter, but please. I'm not gonna bullshit you.
I appreciate it. I'm just gonna go lay down.
So shout out to 2311 on the hurricane relief front. Michael and Denny put up $1 million for hurricane relief effort. So our thoughts and prayers to everybody affected by Hurricane Helene and the results and downfalls and all the pivots and all the things that are the aftermath of that. So keep your North Carolina race families in your thoughts as they try and rebuild Western North Carolina, Eastern Tennessee and things. Let's see. Lights to bright. This is a perfect opportunity to introduce our new partners at Nectar Sunglasses. Shout out to Nectar. Shout out to the things they do. Shout out to all the inexpensive sunnies and prescription glasses. Use our promo code Victory Lane Vibes. Save yourself 15% off your order on all your orders of all your glasses and things. Had them on at the lake this weekend. They're polarized. They're real comfy. They didn't fall off on the boat, so they passed my state of approval. So, which means you should get them too. And with that, I'm giving my first pair of sunglasses to Chase Briscoe. How dare you? You ruined this race. You ruined everybody's dream. I've never seen so many people unanimously scream and yell at you on social media ever in my entire life. Like, you are probably more hated than Ross Chastain doing the Hail Melon at Martinsville. Like, you are an evil person. You took a win away from Kyle Busch. You took away my episode title from Kyle Busch. You literally ruined Art's Sunday because you took the episode idea away from Kyle Busch. How dare you? I hope you never see success ever again. All the good things I said about you these last few weeks about you keeping the SHR shop open and for business and all the employees, I don't care about that no more. Boo. Boo you, Chase Briscoe. Boo, boo. Lights too bright.
You know, I remember a certain Darlington episode where everybody was like, yo, you know what? Good for Chase Briscoe. Good for Chase Briscoe. Now look at you. Now look at you. You've come around and you're on the right side of history again. See, this is where you should have been the whole time. People call me a hater because I said I wasn't here for it. But now look at you. Look at you. I tell you what, if Chase Briscoe doesn't win Darlington, Kyle Busch wins Kansas. So just think about that. Once again, Arthur was right. Oh man. I'll give my lights too bright goes to the spotter, the former spotter of Corey LaJoy. I don't know that gentleman's name offhand, and I don't think I want to after that.
Cease and desist to the office.
I wouldn't ask him to direct me to my bathroom, and I know where I live. So I just
Inside Out.
That's pretty bad. Inside Out. Well, what are you talking about? My shirt
movie, my boy. What you doing?
Right, like my boxers inside out. Like, what are we talking about here? Cars? No, that's not how that works, brother. You can't do that. You can't do that. As a certain broadcast said during a Daytona 500, you can't do that. You gotta be better than that, man. Like, you know how much these cars cost? You know how much your salary is? Like, bro, those are two very different figures. You gotta be a little bit better than that. So, and the worst part is, like, now you've got me second guessing Corey LaJoy. That's the part that gets me. Now I'm like, maybe he wasn't that bad, bro. Maybe he was just told, clear high, and he just
man. Corey the scapegoat at all this. I've seen the light.
I just feel like, I know Sunday night Corey slept real good. That's all I'm gonna say. I know he slept real good. And you know what? God bless him. Yeah, he's been a pinata for a while, so let him have it.
I'm so angry you stole mine. It is Stephen Parsons, and he was the perfect. Yeah, I should have. He was the perfect lights too bright because he was able to put off the biggest con job of having everyone make Corey LaJoy apparently be the scapegoat to all of this. He's like, I'm actually incompetent, but I'm going to blame this guy with this podcast and make him look incompetent by just giving him the worst directions ever. What was really telling was if you listen to Doorbell McKeelier, which is a show full of spotters, all of them were like, I've never heard of middle of three described like that. Like, that's your peers. Like, I don't want to sound critical because I don't know anything about spotting. I'd be bad at, but when your peers are like, yeah, I don't know if I'd call middle of three in out. So, yeah.
So we buying burgers, my boy. Like, what's in and out? What are we doing?
I'm gonna go a little off the script for lights too bright. I don't know if it's really lights too bright, but just man, that's a bummer. Poor folks at Bed Bath and Beyond. They used to have what?
Are they poor? They are poor folks. They're out of business, Peyton.
Well,
they filed for Chapter 7. They gone, dog.
Well, no. Well, they were, but you look at who was on that 4 car this weekend. Yep. Believe it was on the 4 of Joshberry, and so
in the blue and white letters, it was right there.
Right there. So these folks, after having seen their whole company fall apart, 50 years of history, 14,000 employees gone, liquidated all stores. Apparently they found a way to keep the name going. And oh boy, we're sponsoring, we're in cup racing. Oh boy, this is how we're going to get back to the top. We're going to reignite. We're going to make that household name, Bed Bath & Beyond. Hey, everybody, flying out to Kansas City. Beautiful city. Everyone, we're going to be on the pit box. Come on out. Oh, come on out. Hang out. We're going to be here all weekend. Yeah, Sunday. Oh, it's going to be great weather. We're going to have a great time. Oh, boy. Got all our friends and family ready to watch. Half a lap. Poor Bed & Bath, they get half a lap. That being said, they did get some TV coverage out of it. But, yeah, lights too bright on whoever sold that sponsorship, whoever put all that together for poor Josh Berry to deal with half a lap of running on the track. So, yeah, feel bad for those folks. Not necessarily a lights too bright, just unfortunate set of circumstances for everyone who was excited and associated with the company because having been on the stands or on a pit box before, when the show's over, when they're done, they start packing up. And they may leave the pit box there for you to sit on if you're like a guest of the team. But there's also a chance that you might just need to go find someplace else to stand. Your day is done. We're not hanging out with you. We need to get back to North Carolina. So, yeah, that's a lousy weekend.
That's a really good point. And I do feel like, based on what I've seen offhand, I feel like if a team does finish early because of a wreck or something, yeah, they pack it up and they're outie. Like, they're quick. As long as it's not like a North Wilkesboro, right, where you're trapped the whole race. Like, if they've got the tunnel, like, they're gone. So yeah, you make a good point. Like, they had to vacate, and that's a tough one.
Bed, bath, we gone. That's what the team said. Get your ass off that pit box. We gone. Let's go.
Oh man.
Sorry, I'm going to mute myself now.
Absolutely terrible. Yeah, put yourself on mute.
I'm proud of myself on that. I'm proud. Good job, Pete.
I bet you are. Open mic.
I got something. I want to go first. I got something. I've been thinking all week about this, man. Since literally 7 days I've been thinking about this open mic. I'm gonna keep it short. I'm gonna keep it brief. But I just want to shout out two people that I cannot stand online, and all of my open mic revolves around Twitter. The first one goes to Carl. I know you're listening because he keeps stealing my tweets. Like, he'll copy and paste my tweets right after I post them. You a bum. Quit stealing my tweets, bro. Get your own thing, first of all. Now, second, also, that's actually important. I have never seen an industry, journalist, crew chief, driver run to defend a subpar product like I have the NASCAR race at Bristol a week ago. I had all these people on my timeline telling me that I was wrong for having the audacity to want a better race. Let me tell you guys how this works, in case you aren't remember. We are the customers. We pay you for the product. Then you give us the product. But if we don't like the product you're giving us, we can go somewhere else. We can keep our money, keep our eyes. I just think the fact that you have the nerve to sit here and tell me, oh, well, this is a good race, whatever. You don't get to decide that, Kyle Larson. You don't get to cry for 3 days and tell me that this was a good race when I saw it with my own eyes. Certain crew chiefs who I'll remain nameless, certain media people that shall remain nameless, and sit there and have the audacity to lambaste me and others, the customers that literally pay for your salaries, that pay for you to live this dream. Now, I don't know where it's come from, this attitude where, we have to have this chip on our shoulder, but the customer isn't always right. But I'll tell you what, when a sport that's as customer based as NASCAR, they damn sure are right. So I just need this whole attitude to go away. You're supposed to be the greatest. I said on my timeline, Dale Earnhardt would never. Dale Earnhardt would take his trophy, he'd take his check, and go home and hunt for a week. He damn sure wouldn't be. If he had social media, he would not have been crying, talking about, oh, they only voted this way because I won the race, blah, blah, blah. Grow up. You a grown man. You a grown man talking about a poll for a race you won. You won the race. That's the prize. Shut up. Oh, my God. I cannot believe that, man. And y'all not going to do this. You're not going to gaslight me into thinking this was a good race. I don't care who you are. And I said the other week, I don't care what the reason was. You can blame Goodyear all you want to, but you're not going to sit here and try to lie to people. That's the part I think that really makes me mad more than anything is, it's one thing if you're like, oh, we tried our best, we got to get better. It's no, this was good. You're wrong. You don't know what you like. You don't know good racing. All right, bro. All right. Fine. Whatever. Just the audacity. That's what it gets to me. The audacity. So do better.
Speaking of audacity, my open mic topic. Ticketmaster gonna be in charge of the tickets?
Talk about
it. Who signed off on this?
Talk about it.
As a how can I phrase this? We always implore you to go watch races in person. It used to be affordable, not anymore. Sorry, y'all. You better find a Goodwill coupon or something, get a buy one, get one to go to NASCAR races, because after Ticketmaster taking over for not just the NASCAR tracks, that's in my tracks too. I'm sorry, y'all. It's going to get real expensive. Hope you pre-ordered your 500 tickets. They're going to cost you an extra 500 now. Them fees, baby. Is Ticketmaster going before Congress yet? Weren't they being brought to Congress for their malfeasance? If anybody can do that and speed that process up, it's NASCAR fans. Everybody stand on your feet. You can't. I can't say grab your pitchforks. That's not.
You can.
Oh, grab your pitchforks and let's march to Washington.
Stand on it
and have Ticketmaster overthrown and thrown into the Potomac River. This is a terrible, awful, no good, rotten move by NASCAR. I'm sure they did it for the money, to line their pockets with more money to get a piece of the fees. This is egregious. How do you expect hardworking, blue-collar people to come watch your sport and charge them an extra $37.92 to do it, all the namesake of they bought the tickets online? Come on now. You're going backwards. Now, if you were doing this and you were giving a piece of the profits to the teams so Denny can sign his charter agreement, then yeah, sure. That's a little small loss for a big gain. Sure, let's do it. The teams make more money, less sponsorship commitments. I get it. Cool. But you giving up nothing to gain 200%? That's just greedy. Shame on you, NASCAR. Shame on you, France family. Shame. Shame, shame, shame.
Shame.
Does mine have to be directly NASCAR related?
No.
It's open mic for a reason. It's whatever you want.
Well, listen, you might not want to hear all the things I got to say. Oftentimes I find
I don't want to put you on that long of a leash. You're right. You got to shorten that up.
Nah, go ahead. You know what? Screw it. Go ahead. We might get canceled now. Ticketmaster might do us like we're a Bowen exec. They might take us.
No, well, hold on.
Ahead,
I can finish that thought. I have real life evidence of Ticketmaster ruining us. When we got those tickets to send Lee and Kelby to New Hampshire, the tickets inexpensive, great tickets, great seats, dim fees as much as the tickets. I have proof. I have the receipts. Shame on you, Ticketmaster. All right, Peyton, now you can go.
Take it there, Peyton. Whatever you got.
Man, Art made a really good point. It really felt like, I don't know if Kyle Larson was trying on purpose to miss the point, and everyone else was trying on purpose to miss the point. The reason why that race wasn't bad wasn't because Kyle Larson dominated. It's because the race sucked and no one could pass and it was boring. And if people want to sit here and lament, so I'm a college football fan, and we had a fantastic game on Saturday. It was the 2 and 4th ranked teams, I believe. It was Georgia and Alabama, SEC powerhouses, going at it on primetime Saturday night. It looked like a blowout early on in the game, and then Georgia manages to come back, still lose, but it was electrifying. This is the reason why we are never going racing on Saturday nights again, and we are really lucky that we even have Bristol. When I was at that Bristol race, you know what I was doing and everyone else was doing? Checking their damn phones to see what was happening with the Tennessee versus Oklahoma State game, or some Oklahoma game, because that was far more interesting, and it does powerhouse numbers. Man, as much as I miss Saturday night racing, that is never, ever, ever coming back the moment college football starts. And frankly, I'm surprised that they decide they also want to go against the NFL. They're brave to do it, because that still also brings in monster numbers. So it was just something that just came to my mind, just thinking about, man, what was I doing on Saturday? And I was glad I was not having to watch any sort of NASCAR as someone who loves NASCAR, because this time of year is a tough market to be in. You look at the one thing I will say that IndyCar does well, they realize, like, hey, listen, we've got one big race, and then we field a bunch of other races just so the team owners have an excuse to build multiple cars and take people out to dinner and try to get some more money. But no one's going to watch this. Like, I love IndyCar, but really, it's the Indy 500 and then a bunch of supporting races. You know what they do? The moment a football emerges from the earth, they say, "Oh, no, we're done." And they cut everything off in early September. Yeah, it's amazing that NASCAR still was able to pull such strong numbers, especially given how broken the product can be. But yeah, that's my open mic moment. Is college football is really, really good. We're never getting Saturday night racing back. They should do Saturday night racing during the summertime when it's 1,000,000,000 degrees and there's nothing else going on. But hey, let's just run Nashville at the hottest part of the day. They finally learned about Texas. Let's run that earlier in the year instead of running that at the hottest point of the day. But hey, gotta do whatever TV tells us to, even if it kills our fans. And like you were saying, thank goodness the good folks at Ticketmaster are going to take care of us and make the fan experience easier while taking more money from our pockets. Also, SMI, your food's terrible. Work on that.
I mean, at this point, the right thing to do is, if SRX is not coming back for next year, why can't we have a summer night series? Why can't we just build the schedule around tracks that have lights at night? Does that make sense? Like, you literally, you own the company and you own the rights to make the schedule whatever you damn well please. We know that the 500's first. We know that this is the last year for Phoenix to be last. And like everywhere in between is like somewhat movable. Doesn't it make sense to just do it?
Let me ask you this. Cars Tour. I know they've got their races on Flow, but let's say for 5 select races, you put them joints on ESPN. Promise that Dale Jr. is going to be in the car. Get some other
Harvick,
NASCAR
Raja, Bubba.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that might be tough. That might be tough just during this year. But hey, yeah, actually, never mind. You run the Cars Tour, run those on a weeknight.
Wednesday night under the lights.
You got cars that don't look effing stupid like those SRX cars did. Get rid of these old has-beens. I don't want to see. I mean, I love and appreciate them getting the old tires, but I don't want to watch.
I'm not watching another race with Paul Tracy ever again in my life.
I don't need to see Ken Schrader. I don't need to see Ken Schrader 2 laps down.
I'm good on Paul Tracy, bro. You good, dog. You killed. You single-handedly killed SRX. No, go away.
At 10:45 p.m., okay, Schrader catching strays, bro.
Love the man, but I'm just saying, no, we don't need.
That.
You know what? If I want to see Ken Schrader as best, I'd go back and watch races from the '90s. That's the path forward. Give me 5 races, Cars Tour. You put Dale Jr. in there. Listen, when I was at Bristol, there were tons of people wearing Sundrop gear.
It's a Sundrop, baby.
Yeah, it's a delicious drink, but they were wearing it because Dale Jr. is NASCAR Jesus. So there we go. We fixed it. We didn't fix NASCAR's problem, but we fixed our problem of having good quality racing in the summer. Put the Cars Tour on where I don't have to pay like $600 to watch it. I'll watch 5 races and yeah, boom.
Boom. Well, with that mic drop, ladies and gentlemen, you've reached the conclusion of this episode of Victory Lane Vibes. Like, comment, subscribe, tell your mammy, tell your Grammy. Listen to us. Share that you've listened to us. Give us feedback on what you'd like to listen to us more of. And we will see you post Talladega. And with that, cue the music.